Straight ahead on 12 News, a Maple Grove student's dream visit with one of the most influential moneymakers on the planet. Plus, are you looking for a job? A Maple Grove search firm reveals its top 3 tips for job hunters. But first, a concept making waves in schools.
We've taken what was traditionally a lecture at school and homework at home and turned that around.
12 News starts right now. Well, it's turning traditional learning on its head.
And teachers and students at Maple Grove Junior High are embracing it. Sonia Goins shows us how flipping the classroom works.
What I'm going to do is I'm going to distribute this.
Mr. Shear's 9th grade math class looks and sounds like a normal classroom, but it's not.
1/2 10 plus x.
This class is flipped. Instead of doing homework at home, they do it in class, and they get their classroom lessons at home.
Kids watch their lessons at home through video lessons that we've created here at school, and then they come to class and they're able to do what used to be called homework in class with their peers.
A squared plus B squared equals C squared.
At home, students watch a 10-minute lesson via the internet. Students who don't have internet watch on a DVD. They can also check it out on their smartphones.
Not only can you rewind it, but you can rewatch it the whole time, so if you don't get it.
Mr. Shear has been using the flip model for more than a year. He says he's seen an improvement in grades.
What I'm seeing on my daily tests and my chapter tests have been significant improvements among my students.
Hannah Todd says she was hesitant at first, but her grades have improved since she's participated in the flip class.
I pretty much have a straight A this whole entire class.
The teacher says this technique allows him to spend more one-on-one time with students.
Some of the students who have traditionally struggled because they had a hard time getting their homework done at home are now able to get these video lessons done at home, so when they come to class they can get that attention with me or with some of their peers in the classroom.
Students say this program also is easier on their parents, who sometimes struggle to help them with their schoolwork.
I tried to ask my parents, but it's kind of hard sometimes because they're not used to it. They don't really know what I'm talking about sometimes. So it's good that we do it in class, because then Mr. Shear and my friends can help me.
Now, Mr. Shear also has a way of checking to see if the students actually watch the video. There's a video guide that goes with each lesson. If it's not filled out, he knows the student didn't do the work. And Mike and Alex, if the student did watch a lesson, they could check it out in school. But if not, they also have to stay after class.
One way or another, they're going to get that lesson.
Yes, you have to do your work.
All right. Thanks a lot, Sonia. The trial for a St. Louis, Missouri man accused of killing 3 people in Brooklyn Park is now into its 3rd week. Eddie Mosley is on trial for the murder of Delois Brown and Brown's elderly parents. Today, a judge heard from Mosley's live-in girlfriend, Manisha Warren. She testified she did not see him in the afternoon or evening of April 8th or the morning of April 9th, the time of the murders. The defense says that still doesn't prove that Mosley was in Minnesota, but prosecutors say that's one more person who cannot account for Mosley's whereabouts that morning. Jail phone recordings were also played during today's testimony. Prosecutors say the recordings suggest Mosley was trying to coach his girlfriend into what to say during the trial. A lead investigator is supposed to testify on Tuesday.
Funeral services will take place Thursday for a Brooklyn Center woman killed in a car crash in LeSueur County. Audrey Nyquist was a passenger in a car that rear-ended a semi-truck last Wednesday. She was 84 years old. Her daughter, 61-year-old Marcia Vall, was the driver of the car. She suffered serious injuries. A memorial service for Audrey Nyquist will take place Thursday at 11 a.m. at 4th Baptist Church in Plymouth.
Hennepin County Commissioner Jeff Johnson of Plymouth made it official over the weekend. He is running for governor.
My vision is of a Minnesota where politicians understand that taxpayers work really, really hard for their money, and we spend it as carefully and responsibly as if it were coming out of our own pocket rather than some.
Johnson says on his first day on the job, he would begin to audit every state department, starting with welfare. He hopes that conservative message will energize the Republican base, but he also says they can't win a statewide election in Minnesota without independent votes.
We also need someone who is liked enough and trusted enough by non-Republicans and who can actually relate to the vast middle class in this state so that they're able to win a statewide election.
Johnson served 3 terms in the state house and lost a race for attorney general in 2006 before being elected to the Hennepin County Board. Johnson will face Orono businessman Scott Honor for the Republican nomination. Other Republicans are expected to enter the race. Johnson says he will abide by his party's endorsement and won't run in the 2014 primary if he's not the endorsed candidate.
The former Best Buy store in Brooklyn Center will soon be turned into a restaurant supply store. Best Buy closed last summer. The Minneapolis St. Paul Business Journal reports that the vacant store was sold to an affiliate of Restaurant Depot. The company is a food service wholesaler supplying everything from fresh seafood to paper plates. New national job numbers show employers are adding workers, though the job market is not nearly as strong as it could be.
Nationally, the unemployment rate is sitting at 7.5%. In Minnesota, it's 5.4%. In this week's Business Matters, we are focused on the job market with 3 things job seekers can do today to find work.
Thank you for calling the right staff. This is Mallory. How may I help you?
At this Maple Grove recruiting and staffing firm, they're in the business of putting people back to work. Since opening in 2002, they've placed more than 10,000 people in jobs in the Twin Cities, with industries ranging from manufacturing and medical device to financial services and technology. If you're looking for work, CEO Ted Chalupsky has 3 tips for finding the right job.
Number 1, make sure that you target some specific companies that need your types of skills. The problem I've seen in the past with candidates is they try to flood the market with their resume, but what they should be doing is targeting specific companies that really have a need for the person's types of skill. And you can find this information on company websites. Very simple nowadays to go out there and see what jobs they have posted out there so that you're not wasting a lot of time on companies that aren't going to be in need of your skills.
So get specific on that job search. Tip number 2, create an online profile, I understand.
Yes, especially nowadays, LinkedIn is the tool that recruiters and employers are using to find the right people for their company. So if you go to the LinkedIn website, they do a great job of walking you through to create your LinkedIn profile, and it's probably one of the #1 things anybody looking for a job should take a look at nowadays, just because this tool has become so popular.
Tip number 3, Ted.
Tip number 3 is to align yourself with a recruiter or recruiting group or job coach that has a network in place with the decision makers at these companies, because more companies nowadays are coming to companies like ours to help them find people to go to work for their businesses. So why not utilize our network versus developing one on your own, especially our network that's made up of all the decision makers?
Keep in mind, in your job search, it shouldn't cost you anything to connect with a recruiting and staffing firm.
It's among the most violated rules in Brooklyn Park, and that's where you store your garbage can. City Council is expected to take another look at an ordinance that requires garbage containers to be screened and out of sight from the street. Last year, there were more than 1,800 violations. The city may consider easing the restrictions, making no change, or making it even more restrictive. Well, coming up, how a local nonprofit is helping to settle disputes before they end up in court.
And then later in sports, the race is on despite some rain at the Wayzata Relays track and field meet.
But first, finally, your AccuWeather forecast shows a beautiful start to the week. The weather wasn't all that great, but that didn't stop hundreds of walkers from trying to raise money for Parkinson's disease on Saturday. Among those in the crowd at Hildy Park was Laura Harding of Plymouth. Her dad was diagnosed with Parkinson's 11 years ago. She and her family now walk as a team every year.
It's one of those diseases that people don't know much about, and I think it's almost like a mysterious illness, so just getting more awareness.
And there's hope, too. Laura says her dad had deep brain stimulation surgery 3 years ago. It has helped control his symptoms immensely. Well, for 30 years, a local organization has helped people settle disputes before they end up in a courtroom or at a police station. Alexandra sits down with the Executive Director of Community Mediation Services for a look at how mediation can help.
I am joined by Beth Bailey of Community Mediation Services out of New Hope, and you mediate, your organization mediates all sorts of disputes, consumer, housing issues, youth issues, shared parenting. Tell us first why mediation services are so valuable. Are they valuable?
Well, we believe that between a conflict and a resolution is a good conversation, but it's really difficult to have a good conversation when you're in the middle of a conflict. So our volunteer mediators help people have that we help them get into the same room at the same table, and we help them move through that difficult conversation and then help them draft their agreement so that they could each walk away from that conversation with an agreement in hand.
And ultimately, that's beneficial because it keeps it out of the court system.
That's
Is that right?
That's right. Some of our most pressing issues, whether it's juvenile crime or homelessness or family discord, trace themselves back to an unresolved dispute. If we can help people resolve those disputes at an early point, we're helping the public and we're helping those individuals.
What's the fastest growing area right now that you're needing to mediate?
Our restorative justice services for youth would be our fastest growing area. In fact, it has grown so much in the last 10 years that we are undergoing another name change, and later this year we'll be announcing that we are Community Mediation and Restorative Services.
And when you say restorative services, just in 10 seconds or so, tell us what exactly does that mean?
It's addressing harm and taking youth, nonviolent youth, and holding them accountable to the people that they impacted, not to the courts, not to the state, but to the people who were harmed. And they figure out a way to repair the harm and move on.
And this is amazing to me, but you only have 3 paid staffers, 100 trained volunteers, people that are willing to put themselves in an icky, sticky situation to help get a resolution. Is it hard to find the right kind of volunteer to do that work? You know,
30 years ago this week, we had the very first 26 people who went through the volunteer training. We've never had a hard time finding wonderful, wonderful people from the community who are willing to go through the training, willing to put themselves in that situation, cream of the crop kind of volunteers.
Beth Bailey of Community Mediation Services celebrating 30 years. Thanks so much for joining us.
Thank you.
Back to you guys.
All right, thank you. Community Mediation Services is now based out of New Hope and serves Northwest Hennepin County. Coming up, a Maple Grove students' meeting of a lifetime with one of the world's most influential moneymakers. But first in sports, Champlin Park boys lacrosse team takes aim at another win. John Jacobson has that and more when we come back. John Jacobson with sports, and I'll tell you, athletes have sure been up against some nasty weather this spring, and it didn't look very good on Friday for this track meet in Wayzata. And this is a big track meet. You got a lot of schools there.
A lot of schools there, and they decided we're going to run anyway. I don't know how happy the athletes were, but they ran through it. And this week, you look at the schedule, a lot of makeup games, things being made up from games previously canceled. So we'll hope for a good week of weather. Well, rain, sleet, and cold temperatures didn't stop track and field from going on, as Mike said, Friday at Wayzata. The event was one of the few meets or games to go on that day. Highlights now from the 5th annual Wayzata Relays. In the boys' distance medley relay, it's anchor Bobby Rudin and Wayzata way ahead of the field. Their winning time, 11 minutes, 22.08 seconds. The girls' 800 sprint medley relay, Phyllis Webb, the anchor for Osseo. They win. Wayzata is the runner-up in this race. Boys' 4x200 relay, Wayzata anchor Steelberg with the win. The Trojans set a new meet and track record with a time of 1 minute, 29.14 seconds. Boys' 4x100, Wayzata's Joe Colpine just outkicks Brainerd's Grant Rohr, and it's another Trojans victory. And in the boys' 400-meter dash, Osseo's Leo Wiagby edged out by Brainerd's Kerry Rizak, 1/100th of a second, the winning margin. Here's a check of the team scores. Wayzata's boys rolled to a win, 222 points, 86 ahead of Brainerd. Then it's Fargo Davies in 3rd place with Osseo in 4th. Wayzata's girls are edged out by Chanhassen for the top spot. Brainerd is in 3rd place, followed by Roseville, Osseo, and then Chaska in 6th place. After a season opening 1-goal loss to Blaine, the Champlin Park boys lacrosse team has ripped off 3 straight wins. The Rebels faced Edina in a non-conference game. First quarter, Edina's Harry Sokolski fights his way to the net and scores. Nice effort there, ties it up at 1. Luke Dahlman answers for Champlin Park. He gets around the goal and rifles in a high shot. The Rebels take a 4-1 lead at halftime. Third quarter, Ryan McNeil finds Gage Monson for the quick shot and goal. And watch the power on this shot coming up. Connor Smith winds up, fires and scores, and it's a 7-2 Rebels lead. In the fourth quarter, Dahlman beats his defender and scores another. He nets 5 goals in the game. McNeil adds 5 assists. Champlin Park wins it 11-4. The Hopkins boys tennis team has matches the first 4 days of this week, including a showdown with Wayzata Tuesday. On this week's Sports Jam Spotlight, Jay Wilcox profiles the Royals' Manfred Barrios. Here's a clip from that story.
His skills continue to improve, and Manfred, or Manny, or Freddie, he answers to them all, knows that things like concentration matter a lot during a tough match. The mental part is as important as the physical.
I'd say it's probably 50-50. Like when you're on the court playing a match, it's very mental. You have to keep your composure the whole way through. And when you're practicing, you have to push yourself to like your limit, so that's also mental. But physically, you have to have all the strokes. You have to like be in good shape to play top-level tennis. And so I'd say 50-50.
Like many of the top players in Minnesota, Barrios competes pretty much year-round, with only a week or 2 off here and there.
I play in the northern section all the time, and I've played, usually in the summer, I try to go down to a couple nationals. We went down to zonals last summer in Waco, Texas. We went as a team in the northern section. That was a good experience, and this summer I hope to go to Kalamazoo and maybe a couple other national tournaments too.
You watch the rest of the Barrios story and more on this week's Sports Jam. It's on through Wednesday at 3:38 and 10:30 p.m. here on Channel 12. Very focused, very talented tennis player for Hopkins.
He can play.
Yes, he can.
Thanks a lot, John. Still ahead, if you could meet anyone in the world, who would it be?
Up next, find out the dream meeting for a Basswood Elementary student. Finally, a Maple Grove student's chance of a lifetime.
That's right. Basswood Elementary 5th grader Josh Miller got to meet Warren Buffett.
It was incredible. And since I want to be a businessman and a politician when I grow up, meeting him was one of the best experiences I've ever had.
That's right. Josh and 4 other students met Buffett last week after winning a national health and wellness contest. Each of the students had to come up with a unique business plan that focused on healthy options for kids. Josh's idea was a weekly exercise program that aimed to solve the problem of kids standing during the recess hour. And Basswood Elementary ended up receiving a $4,000 grant to implement Josh's idea. He's already thinking of what he wants to do when he grows up to, either a businessman or president. So starting with a little advice from Warren Buffett wouldn't be a bad place to start.
He didn't have any stock tips to share, though, that Warren might have passed on to him.
Would Josh tell us? That's the question.
That is a good question.
That does it for us. Thanks so much for joining us.
Stay with us. Community Corner is coming up next.